Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and yes, we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, all pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box for you. That way, should you like to deep dive on either subject, you should be definitely able to go ahead and do so. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity, and when we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. So, if you got young ones present that are 16 and younger and they're watching, parental supervision, very much advised. Now, I know it's been a minute, guys. I found a new addiction in audiobooks, and per my own diagnosis, what that generally means is I get hyper-focused to the point of ignoring everything else. It's not really something I can help. It's just part of the diagnosis, which is why I've been slacking lately on the two different series. I have not abandoned them. I'm still going to go ahead and move forward with it, but that's why you haven't seen anything lately. I don't really have any excuses. It's just I get hyper-focused on something else, and yeah. One of the areas where I sympathize with my fellow neurodivergents who have ADHD. I feel it, guys, I do. Maybe not for the exact same reasons, but anyways, we're going to go ahead and get back to the comments here. We're going to make this relatively short. There's going to be several videos that need to go ahead and get done today. So, start with this one here. It says, I'm in full support of banning the shock-inducing devices for correcting behavior. The risk is too great and too many have been harmed, including children. Please protect those most vulnerable and ban such torturous intervention. Agreed. Short, sweet, simple. In this day and age, it should be a no-brainer. There should have already been a federal investigation into these folks years ago, but they continue to somehow dodge any type of federal investigation year after year. And considering what they are supposed to be, how is it that one small school, now we're not talking like we're not talking about something that has offshoots here. We're talking about a singular school in a singular location, and they are somehow able to skate underneath the radar of federal investigation. Somehow. Doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't make sense. Makes you wonder, what is it that has the feds? Kind of wonder what dirt they have done, right? Because it must be a doozy. Alright, let's go ahead and read the next comment here. It says, it is absolutely unacceptable to use electric shock stimulation on human beings outside of strict medical instances. I'm going to say no to that too. I'm going to tell you that the only reason anyone should be using that type of device is when it's police and it's a taser or a stun gun that is heavily monitored and made sure to run at a specific amount of milliamps of electricity. The GED device is not. It is made intentionally. The design intentionally was made to cause pain. Right? Stun guns and tasers are made to simply drop your opponent. It's not there to teach you a lesson. It is to subdue someone before they do damage to themselves, others, or public property. I know this because my dad was a cop. Okay? for many years, before he became a security guard up at the state hospital, he was a cop for several years. So yes, I actually know that to be a fact. And even with stun guns and tasers, you can find yourself in trouble. When they talk about how heavily regulated it is before they even use such instruments, they're not overstating it. If anything, they understate it. Okay? It is insane that it's being insisted to be used something way more potent than those type of items on children. When 4 milliamps is known to drop a 250-pound muscle-bound man hyped up on PCP. Why do I use that analogy? Because in my 20s, I lived perennially downtown during the pub crawls and everything. And no, it's a thing. It is definitely a thing. Anyways, let me get back to where I was here before I take you down another left field. Those instances do not include any kind of therapy or so-called behavioral therapy aimed at changing actions of a person regardless of their disability status. If it doesn't work on neurotypical teenagers, who this world's actually built for, what in God's name makes you think it's going to work on us? We are what we are. The more stressed out we become, the more we revert back to our factory settings, so to speak. You raining down pressure trying to force us to be something we're not is going to have the exact opposite effect. Not to mention the freaking resentment it builds. I've got a chip on my shoulder that is probably larger than the state of Texas. Just because of the never-ending othering and all the hoops that we're required to jump through to be deemed acceptable by neurotypicals. You know what? I don't want to be acceptable to neurotypicals. They can kiss my autistic ass. Sorry. Not sorry. Anyways, back to where we were. When shocks are applied as behavioral therapy to individuals with disabilities, it should be considered a crime. One of the biggest reasons is, imagine going to such a place when you're young. How are you going to feel about anybody else that is trying to help you with your diagnosis after that? You going to trust doctors, nurses, medical staff? Hell no. Which means they're not going to want to go to the doctor quite as often, even if they really need to go. PTSD is a hell of a thing, folks. And it can and will paralyze you. Even from doing the very things you know you need. I speak from experience. In most cases, those people are unable to give informed consent due to age, disability, social status, or a combination of the three. I need to correct you here, honey. I need to correct you here. It is not that we have an inability to give consent. It's, and I need you all, neurotypical world, to swallow this. They don't care if we consent or not. These are individuals who feel like due to our disability that we don't have the right to self-autonomy and self-rule. Because they don't believe that we are capable of it. They view individuals like me as random individuals who were able to do it, but not the norm. Well, folks, I've been working in this field in both an official and unofficial capacity for soon to be over 20 years now. I can tell you, we do have the ability to consent or not consent, and we are very well aware of the things that we choose to consent to. But we don't think. Nobody cares what you neurotypicals, we don't think. You're right, you don't think. It's how we ended up in this current mess. Well, we are sitting there watching our civilization implode in slow motion. But anyways. Stop the use of electrical shock aimed at people with disabilities. Let this be a rearview mirror along with forced sterilization, lobotomies, and other barbaric practices of the past. And for the last time, assume competence. Always. I don't care what the world tells you. I don't care what the medical model tells you. Always assume competence. And everyone, regardless of disability, deserves a right to have control over their own autonomy. Everyone should have the right to say no, regardless of disability. We're going to go ahead and close out on that this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you would be so kind, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and as always, folks, please don't go ahead and hit the comments. Double check to make sure you are set up for notifications as well. Like stated at the beginning of the video, we are going to be continuing with the Down the Rabbit Hole series, as well as the series on the snake oil salesman. I just got too hyper-focused into something new, and I apologize for that. Part of that not great part of my diagnosis. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do. Hope you have a good one. Apologize for the messy hair, but in my defense, Missouri humidity is a hell of a drug. We do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.